You folks here on this side, just going to ask for your patience. We're going to kick it off with the folks who are running for County Commission. If you have a question for these candidates for County Commission, I'd have you come up here and ask your question. Try and keep it under a minute, and give them a minute each to provide their answer. We are going to be starting with Nancy this go around. Questions for County Commission candidates? No. All right. I get to go to my canned questions. So starting with Nancy, 1 minute, if you could, please. How will you protect private property rights while also ensuring fair and consistent zoning rules for all landowners and businesses? Do you believe in eminent domain for private gain?
That is a lot to answer in 1 minute. One of the things that I think is really important, especially when it comes to zoning, is consistency. When companies are looking to come to our community, or farmers are looking to expand or grow their options within their farming operations, having consistent, fair rules already in place matters. It's incredibly frustrating for people who are trying to do good things to improve themselves and improve their community, and the rules change mid-game. So I think it's really important that we provide some consistency in what we're doing for zoning. Eminent domain for personal use, I do not agree with, but it's red, so I'll stop answering.
Could you repeat the question for me, please? Sorry. It was a long question. So
I know, it was so long, Dan. Don't worry, I haven't started your counter yet. Here we go.
All right, thank you.
So first and most importantly, how will you protect private property rights while also ensuring fair and consistent zoning rules for all landowners and businesses? And then the follow-up, do you believe in eminent domain for private gain?
All right, all our meetings with the county open to the public. When we do a conditional use variance or any of that, it's open to the public. Come in and let the commission hear what you say on that. You know, when we have these big contentious one, like I think the wind farm is one that comes to mind. People came in and it was 100-1 against it, right? Why wouldn't I listen to it? And that's the reason I voted no against it, because it was the will of the people. When it's 100-1 and the one person that's for it doesn't even live in Yankton County, you know, vote with the people who elected you. And then as far as eminent domain for public gain, hell no.
Okay, so I'm going to just start off with zoning is always going to restrict property rights. Now, what we have to make sure is, one, it's equally applied to everyone in the same way. Number two, we have to make sure that when we take away these rights, that they're done for the right reasons. We have some cases where zoning laws are just an arbitrary setback just to make someone happy. That's not good. There has to be a reason, and there has to be a good reason why we make a restriction on anyone on their property. That said, that's exactly why I voted against the wind farms, because I thought the zoning that was being applied was poorly done. Then on eminent domain, it's just like TIFs. Eminent domain should be used only for a fully public infrastructure. If the general public do not directly benefit from it, then public domain should never be used. And the same thing with TIFs. It should be used for public infrastructure.
Okay, thank you for the question. I'm going to start with the end of the question and then go back to the beginning. Private property rights are probably, it's the second most important reason I ran and joined public service in the first place. Number one reason is to protect life. Number two reason is to protect our private property rights. In zoning and ordinances and variances all have to do with fairness, and it has to be consistent, but But referring back to what both Dan and Ryan said, I attended many of those meetings with the wind farm, the industrial wind park that was to go up in Turkey Valley, and 100 to 1 people showed up against it, and it still passed. And that is not listening to the voice of the people, and I will listen to the voice of the people.
Well, I don't think I have to repeat what our members have said because they're right. First of all, I do not like eminent domain. If a company wants to turn around and do something, they can do their due diligence and talk to the people that they're involved with and treat them properly. As far as the zoning ordinance go, it's a fluctuating project because what we're worrying about yesterday isn't a problem today. As time moves on, we've got to turn around and be able to come up with we've got an excellent planning board. If we need changes to it, we need to have everybody involved come to the meetings. If the public's in it, thank you.
Anybody got a question for our county commission candidates? Please come on up. All right, I'm going back to the well. This one is for Dan. The South Dakota legislators passed a property tax rebate and the optional half-a-cent tax for county residents for property tax relief. Would you vote for an additional half-a-penny sales tax for property tax relief?
Well, first thing I would want is public input from you guys on what you want to see. And I actually have the paperwork right here. There's the owner-occupied portion for Yankton County. What is paid in is $4,180,072, and at a half-cent sales tax, we could generate $4,152,915. So it would basically eliminate the county's portion of your owner-occupied tax. It wouldn't affect ag or commercial. So that's, before I would vote on anything, I'd want input from you. What do you guys want to see? Really, that's the most important thing. So I'm looking for public input. At some point, we're going to talk about this and let us know. There is one change that I think everybody should realize. Initially, when that was put out, there was a guarantee that it could go to a vote of the people. Researching that, I don't think that's the case, and that was an error that was done and found out too late to fix. But one input from you. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't have the numbers that Dan has in front of him, but, and I haven't really investigated them, but I would have to investigate those first to make sure that it actually does make numerical sense before I'd even present it as an option. It is to note that these are taxes. This is just a shift in taxes. It doesn't change the end story. We still need to work on running our government more efficiently and doing our best to require less taxes overall. So again, back to that, I would also would not be okay with it unless it does go to a full public vote. I would not be okay with just passing it. But we'd have to do a lot of investigation into this and make sure that it is the right decision, because I'm not sold instantly that it is the right decision. And that's the most important thing about this job, is to make sure that you do your work.
Okay. Both the tax rebate and the half-a-cent sales tax, I voted for. It was kind of a package deal. It was how we were able to get the rebate back to the property owners in the state of South Dakota. I do not necessarily agree with the half-a-cent sales tax for property owner relief, simply because If Yankton County introduces this half-a-cent sales tax, and everyone, you know, the big word this year is economic development, how many sales would leave the county when you, let's say for equipment dealers, just appliances, any kind of service that would be used for your home, would they go and purchase those appliances, tractors, combines, parts in another county if we introduced a half-a-cent sales tax? That was my concern when this bill was presented. How is this, this could actually be a detriment to the businesses and the business owners in our county. So I agree with everyone else. It would need to be something that would be very much researched, and I do believe the only way it should pass is if it goes to a vote of the people.
I agree with the idea of giving the public a little bit of a tax break on their real estate, their homes. What I'm more concerned about is enacting the ordinance. How do you turn around and administrate it? And from what I understand, they're going on a sales tax. If you've been reading the city's comments, their sales tax has been down the first 3 years of the year. So I don't see where they can come up with a consistent formula to tell you how much money is going to be in that pot to help reduce your property taxes. And will the auditor have to be redoing this year after year because sales tax went up or sales tax went down? So I've got a little bit of reservations for it.
Well, thank you so much for the question. I believe that this is a good option for Yankton County to consider. Anyone who's heard me talk about the revenues for Yankton County knows that I support diversifying the revenue stream. I think that holding the counties hostage by only having property tax as your primary revenue source hurts the counties in the long run. So I support having a half-cent sales tax. I wish it could go towards roads and bridges as opposed to property tax relief, but this is the bill that we're provided, so let's do the best that we can with it. Let's let those visitors who come to Yankton help us pay for those things that are the reduction in our property tax. But what I want to explore is, can we exempt certain purchases from this tax? As local control, do we have the ability to do that? Because that's where I think if we can create a rebate for some of those taxes, it could be really good for agriculture and anyone who owns property in Yankton.
All right, things are getting good. Property taxes and rebates. All right, we're feeling it. Anybody? Come on up. All right, right here. I'll have you come on up. We're recording this in 4K, and it's going to sound amazing in 5.1 Dolby Atmos sound, so we need you up here. And this is going to be for Mr. Heine.
Well, me on microphone is not a good sound, but anyway, data centers, good, bad. What are your thoughts on them? If Yankton were to get a data center.
So being the technology guy, I obviously know data centers are used heavily. One of the things about them is they have heavy environmental controls inside. Those units are very tightly engineered. There's not a lot of people that work in them. Those things are large complexes with not a lot of people. So it may sound like a great big economic boom to some people, but that's the construction phase only. And then you have just a handful of people there working. I don't see it being a great option for Yankton County. We're not in a data network highway here. It's also, and these centers also require large amounts of energy. We are going to have to be importing energy. That's going to put a lot of strain on our electrical infrastructure. I don't see it being a very good economic development for Yankton County.
Thank you. I think you're referring to hyperscale data centers. As a matter of fact, Yankton County already has a couple of data centers. They're just not very big. I believe Thrive owns one, along with another gentleman here in Yankton County. Data centers are something that are, I believe they're kind of like a tech bubble. Unfortunately, the main reason for a data center is military and surveillance. They say it's to store your phone and the pictures on your phone and all your information. They can do that in a microchip. Unfortunately, these data centers are. I feel that if a data center is going to come to Yankton County specifically, they need to bring their own energy, and they need to make sure that they are not using up our resources here in Yankton County that are extremely precious to the people who actually live here, work here. And as far as economic development, as far as I can tell in the research that I have done across the nation, across the world, data centers pretty much just bring job transfers. They don't bring jobs to the community. They just transfer jobs, transfer wages that are already here. And for the expense that they bring to the electrical users, they are actually a detriment to the community.
Mr. Blake.
My viewpoint on data centers, they maybe have a use in this country, but I go back to the dot-com days, the gateway computer days, where companies came in, spent big money on infrastructure, and they got wiped out by the people with the money. Because they made a good business, somebody came in and bought them out. It left us with empty buildings and people out of work. In Yankton County, I'm sorry, but we don't have the population to make it justifiable. We need the data center to work. It's got to have outside sources come in and invest their money into them. Now, when another big company comes in and says, I want you, let's face it, dollar talks. The business is gone. Thank you.
Well, data centers. So in my last answer, when I talked about diversifying revenue streams, I think it's also important for we, as Yankton County residents, to be open to things that are different. So yes, we do have a data center that Thrive owns. It's leased by Midco. It's the corner of 21st and West City Limits Road. It's a triple net lease, so that was started with an EDA grant approximately 18 years ago. So we'll own that for 2 more years. At the end of the 20 years, it will transfer over to Midco. So it is a property that property taxes are being paid on. But when you talk about data centers, size matters. Yankton is not positioned for a hyperscale where you need hundreds and hundreds of acres, but we are well positioned with water and power to bring that opportunity here. And as we talk about it, we also don't want Bitcoin mining. The power usage fluctuates quite a bit with that. And with a regular data center, it's more consistent, which will also allow for greater revenue streams for the utilities that are paying a lot of taxes.
It's interesting. I was out and I visited one guy I was served in the military with, and he lives in Loudoun County, Virginia, dead center of all of these big data centers. And he told me the story of how they did it wrong. Right? They just let these things come in, and they thought it was going to be development, and instead, what it was is big surge on the water, electricity rates skyrocketing. And then, these big companies, if it's no longer feasible, they change their name and they skip town, and then it's on the county's dime to tear down these huge facilities. What do you do with them? So I'm not against data centers in theory, but it's like everything else. If we're going to go down this road and they're going to do it, we need to have conditions on there. If something is going to come in, it shouldn't soar your electricity rates 30, 40, 50%. That's not fair. They're supposed to come in and make the community better, not raise all your guys' taxes. And we have to have a plan for when these things end their useful life, and the company has to tear them down. It shouldn't be on your dime or the county's dime to take care of tearing it down for these billion-dollar companies.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next up is Alice here. I have for you, County Commission candidates, your final question, and it is a whopper. Get ready. This will be for Julie.
Yeah, I want to know what you see is the biggest issue before the commission this coming term.
Just wait, I gotta drop the mic.
I think just by the observations that I have had with the Yankton County Commission, and the biggest reason that I want to serve is I think we need fairness inside of our Yankton County Commission. We need transparency and we need accountability. We need to have county commissioners who are accountable to you. This last summer, I spent many a night. As a matter of fact, I was at every single county commission meeting from May until August, September, and I do believe half of one or two in October, simply over a wind industrial complex that was going into the Turkey Valley area, and hundreds of individuals from Yankton County and Turner County showed up to those county commission meetings and pleaded with county commissioners, and it all fell on a deaf ear. And so I would be the voice for those people who showed up and shared their concerns, and hopefully, we could convince the rest of the commissioners to vote for the people and not the industrial complexes.
I think undoubtedly the biggest issue of the Yankton County's future is the budget. We are trying to live on 1980 finances in the 20th century. We need to figure out what items we're going to be able to keep, and some of them that have been financed for years is not going to get a dime from the county because we just do not have the extra money. When the employees stay with you for years, like some of them fine people we have, people question, why do they get paid so much? It's because of that loyalty and knowledge that makes our county run smooth. We as commissioners could stand up here and say, oh, we did this and we did that. We didn't do it. It's the people underneath us that did the work. We've got to protect them and move them forward. Thank you.
So I'm going to agree with Bob over here. The budget is the biggest issue that we're going to have to deal with, because if we want to continue to maintain our roads, improve the transportation system, do more things in the county, we need to make sure we have the revenue to do so. As a previous small business owner, I have experience running a budget, having to make cuts when there's not enough money to do the things you want to do. With my time on the city commission, we also had to analyze the budgets. We had to make tough decisions. And you can look at my voting record up there. I was able to make tough decisions. It's not a popularity contest. You can't just choose the things that you like. You have to do what's best for the county. And that doesn't mean it's for individuals. Every decision you make as an elected official is going to make somebody mad and somebody happy. You have to find the way to navigate that, have the tough conversations, and make the tough decisions when it's needed.
I think I'm going to disagree with most people here on the budget isn't the most important thing right now. It's the unfunded mandates put onto the county. Over 80% of our budget goes to the unfunded mandates. We can do whatever we want with the budget, but until we get these unfunded mandates placed onto us by the state, until we get some breathing room there, it's going to keep being an issue. And again, every county in the state is dealing with this exact same situation. Skyrocketing court costs, costs of our prosecutors, law enforcement. Those are all fastly outpacing the 3% that the county budget is rising. And again, we're the only state in the nation where basically all the court costs are dumped onto the backs of the county. We're the only state that does it that way. And the reason is because it's unsustainable. 49 of the other states said, we need to do something different, not South Dakota. Until that's done, no matter what happens with the budget, we're going to continue to see budgetary problems. So unfunded mandates, they're clearly the number one. Thank you.
So there's so many issues that I can see coming in. We have IT infrastructure that needs to be updated heavily. We have lots of places where we need to be more efficient in the services we render. Obviously, the budget is an issue throughout all that. But I think one of the big issues is the roads issue. The fact is in all of our budget meetings and all these statements, the road system we have today is not sustainable with what we collect. And so we either need to collect more, which means more taxes, which I'm not a fan of, or we need to completely rethink how we are going to maintain a road system that serves the people of this county. And so that is a huge issue, and that bleeds into the budget, that bleeds into all those other things. I do agree the unfunded mandates they really are a pain. Unfortunately, as a county commissioner, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. That's more for the guys down the line here.
All right, thank you to our county commission candidates. So stick around, please. We're going to go through everybody else here, and then we're going to have our 2-minute closings for everybody. But this is your opportunity if you do have to go for a bathroom break. It's right outside here on the grass next to the Dodge Ram.